Hey guys, welcome to Isaiah's Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing ACTBOT telescope for adults and kids and beginners and all that stuff. But the cool thing is you can mount your phone to it and take some video, photo, whatever you might be looking at. So that's cool. And this will probably be a two-parter thing where I end up looking completely different to round out my thoughts on it. But we're going to look at it, how it comes in the box, what you get in the bag, stuff like that now. And I've been waiting for weeks for a good night to use this thing. And we've just had like this overcast, the clouds, nothing's out. I really want to get some shots of the moon. That's all I really want to do. And I'm hoping there's a full moon coming up in a few days. So I'm really hoping I can get a shot of the moon on a clear night. That's all I want. And then we can sum this thing up. We're going to look at what you get after you get the box. It's kind of unbranded. I think the box was unbranded, but it advertises as this. Let me pull it up. The 7700 ACTBOT telescope, fully coated optical lenses, 210 times magnification, 70 millimeter large aperture. It looks like you get everything that you're gonna need to smack on your cell phone and take some pictures and video. And this is the one thing that's been lacking in the telescope department. So once we flip open this thing of beauty, we're greeted with a manual. This telescope, 7700, it's true. And it's branded. The manual is branded. It's just not, it just wasn't branded on the box, I don't think. Fully detailed photos and stuff how to use this, so I will definitely keep that thing. This is a plastic plate that looks like it goes up at the top of the tripod there. Everything is well packaged, that's for sure. And it doesn't look like it'd be crazy to get this back in there, which is fantastic. Padding's decent. I'd be mindful of it. The telescope itself has its own padded casing it wraps around it, so that is a big plus. Very nice, heavy duty, feels duty heavy. Got these little pins here for the, can you see these come off? No, they're screwed in there, they're permanent. So these little spikes, they're not terribly spiky, so they can set on hard surfaces, but they're there, and it looks like they don't come off. So, this is, for its price point, the quality that I'm seeing is expected. This, of course, oh wow, is all your little lenses and stuff that you want to keep in these little separate cases. So let's look into here. Phone mount. All right, so let me try to explain this as best I can. Your phone mount goes into here, and this is the Google 6 Pro, and it barely fit onto this with a case on the Pro. I would be mindful not to get too crazy snug and tight. I've seen reviewers crack their curved display by ratcheting it down onto a mount, so just be mindful. Here's an adjustable for this arm here where this will mount to the telescope, and I was able to get it perfectly centered of the main lens. So what we're left with in this little bag here, which matches the case, which is nice, you do get a Bluetooth controller for your phone. So, but you've got screen access right there, so you can use this to push if you want to, or you can just push the screen. Get the little thingy that comes out of the bottom of the telescope there. I don't know what terms for these will be called, but this is plastic. This thing is plastic. We'll get together on what this is later. 25 mil. 10 millimeter. Here's the little red dot scope there. I'm assuming the battery came in it because it had a plastic piece to pull out, but I don't even know how this thing turns on or off. Now we roll out the telescope. I kind of did it and didn't take the plastic off, so now I'm replicating, rolling it out of its little sleeve. Boom, here it is. It's branded ACTBOT. ACTBOT. You can't see in there. I wish you could. Let me try to pull this end off, see if you can see some light, but I don't think you're going to get any benefit from seeing in there. Can you see my mouth move? What about this other way? And can you see my mouth move there? Everything looks good in there. Now this optics is coated, and I imagine it has to be because you'll be transitioning from daytime inside your house, transition to right outside. Humidity would fog up everything and stuff. I'm assuming is the reason. I would set this outside for a while before you use it. That's just what I would do with camera lenses and everything else of value and stuff you film with. This lens case is plastic and just, you know, that's not plastic, but this is plastic. Everything else is plastic. But what needs to be is not. So I would set this outside, you know, for an hour or so before you want to use it. There's a link down in the YouTube description for this ACTBOT telescope. There's a lot of them out there, but this actual one will be the link down there. And good luck finding the one that I did on your own without me leaving the link. So if you want to see the exact one that I have, follow the link down in the YouTube description because it took me some digging to find it. Yeah, and I'm going to come back next, right now, and tell you what I think after looking at a couple things. And hello, here we have the telescope, and we finally got some moon footage, which was, for whatever reason, very difficult to come across. And it took a long time to finally get a full moon with a clear sky, but we got it, we nailed it, we're in there. Now we're just going to show you putting this full thing together, full size right here. Going to shoot over about 3 blocks to a rooftop on somebody's house and just check the actual clarity and definition out of this lens, because that's what we're kind of looking at. How good are the lenses? Because we know the body's plastic and cheap components and things of that nature, because it is actually affordable. It's below $200. It's below like 150 bucks, I think, right now. So follow the link down in the YouTube description, find out the current cheapest possible price that I can get for this thing, and we're going to take a look at that and how hard it is to actually connect the mobile device to the telescope. I'm going to let this out right here. Just give this a chance to breathe, I guess. So here is the telescope. We're going to let these arms out, and we're going to do this by unscrewing every component here. On the legs, there's just one little control thing here. And then, boop. And the cool part is this little tray. It fits in. You can't make a mistake with it. Turn around like an actual tray, and like I had it just now. And it actually slides in to place. There we go. Pops right in. So you got like a little tray here, which is really cool. Now we're just going to loosen up all this stuff so we can actually take it, spin it around, and then the mount here is pretty convenient for the scope, which we're going to take out, roll out. Now one of the things I found that kind of sucked a little bit was this little protective cover. It really doesn't take much for this to come off. It just kind of slides over it, which I wish could be better. But it's not, so it is what it is. But I do like this little rail because it can slide right on. Just be careful to over tighten. You just want to actually over tighten this, because I didn't have it tightened enough once and it actually wanted to slide off, but now we're good. And let's go ahead, and you will need, or I did, you will need to align this guy here. Your little sight, which is pretty cool, this little thing here. You will need to actually align it, and there's got some screws here to where you can actually dial it in. You will need to dial it in to help locate. Even the moon, as big as it was off by quite a bit, but you'll figure out how bad it's off by, and then you can just turn this on. Boom. Even during the daytime, cranking it up all the way, this little red dot sight, it actually looks really good. So kudos on them. It's all plastic, kind of comes across as feeling cheap, but I think once you really dial it in, which has the screws and stuff like that and the capabilities, you can do that. If you just play with it, you can get it dialed in, which is good. And getting it dialed in on something like a rooftop, a couple, 3-4 blocks away, during the day, this gets bright enough to be able to do that. Here's the mount, which will mount onto that. I left some things connected. Like these are actually a few pieces, and I left those connected just to make it easier for me. I'm going to unscrew this, pull this out, unscrew this the rest of the way, and then take this little cap off, and then we're going to put this in here. Boom, da boom. It feels good. We'll tighten this down. Pretty good. Some things feel acceptable, and then some things are like, oh, this is kind of cheap. But we're going to use, for this, we're just going to use this 25 millimeter, which each one of these will fit into their own plastic case. So let's loosen this up, take off this plastic piece, slide this in, and I'll get it lined up by sight first, and then I'll stick the mobile piece on. Take the cap off. That's kind of about it. What will happen here is this whole housing here will move, and then these, see those 1, 2, 3 pieces there? Those 3 pieces will clamp around this, and you'll screw this whole housing here to open those 3 pieces up and to close it. This is the failure kinda of it, because there's not much to grab onto here, and the weight of your cell phone makes it cock in there and not want to, because it wants to weight down, and you know, sometimes that can be screwy, and messing with that is kind of annoying. But once you get everything dialed in during the day, it makes it a lot easier to deal with at night. Once you finally get this thing lined up and connected like so, make sure everything's tightened down good, and like a miracle happens and you're able to get your phone actually lined up, it's a miracle. But getting this to stay here, I'm going to hit record here. So you can see it kind of wobbles a little bit with everything tightened down, and you'll use your focus ring here to move back and forth to stay in focus. We can go 2 times zoom in, which does help. So zooming in with your camera phone really helps. And that is about the max clarity you can get. There's a lot of movement in the telescope, like so, because it's not going to lock in, because it's only relying on 2 sources to really tighten things down. Here and around here, you're up, down, and you're swiveling around. So I think focus in there, and then I'm going to move this focusing in and out with the telescope, and there you can kind of see that's the clarity you're dealing with the scope. You can see the heat coming off the shingles. That's about 3 blocks out. But see the movement? That's the only thing that sucks, because I've had a higher end Celestron telescope in the past, and you know, there's a lot of anchor points and tighten down, and bag holder to hold everything firm, you know, which you can put your bag there to help with the movement. But even the little wind that we have out here is causing this telescope to shake because of its limited ways to fix and lock in, which might cause you a problem when you're way out looking, because it took a while for me to get that moon in. Let's talk about the moon. Moon turned out great, but that's about as good as you're going to get with this thing, I think, is inside of a condo, looking out across the coastline and the waterways and stuff like that, and checking out some boats and stuff with your phone if you're willing to spend the time with it, because getting it dialed in with this plastic stuff here is just difficult. They should have figured out a better mechanism in here to hold your phone and stuff to make it easier for you, but getting this dialed in like this is very difficult, and keeping it is just even harder. So the moon and fixed objects during the day is about as good as you're going to get with this telescope. And if you're cool with that, go for it, because the price, the optics look okay, once you get it nailed in there, I guess. But it's just difficult to get this to line up. And it's even harder to get it to line up with the other 10 millimeter because it's the eye relief on it is a little more open. So this has been the telescope that we've kind of wanted to look at during the day now. And we got a chance at nighttime. The moon looked good. These shingles look like shingles zoomed in. And whenever you use this 10 millimeter, it doesn't look as clear as the other one. So just know that there's a lot of shakes. It might just barely hold your phone with a case on it. There's some ribs in here that grab this little lens, and if you get it on the plastic circle just right, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you buy it, then it clamps in and holds its position there. Make sure everything's tightened up, but the weight of your camera is going to pull it down, and it just makes it overly difficult to deal with. I couldn't imagine dealing with the Earth's rotation, and this thing just limited a couple spots to tighten down, so just keep that in mind. If you bump it, it's going to ruin your life. The wind is probably going to constantly shake, so really it's good for daytime coastal stuff out of your condo window, and the moon, and that's about your limited factors. One of those cases you get what you pay for, and the pay for amount isn't expensive for telescopes, but you just got to get your expectations correct, that this might not be exactly as good as you think it's going to be. It'll get by. You can get some photos and stuff of some cool things, sure, but the moon for sure. It's just, it takes a lot to get that one photo, that one bit of video. It just, a lot of frustration. And then you get it, and you're like, hey, that might have been worth it. So make sure to explode on that subscribe button and ding that bell so you get notified on the next product that we review, like this one, ACTBOT telescope. I think it's like $100 or something. I think there's a coupon code, maybe be less than $100 right now. So for that, for a telescope, sure, it's worth that cash. But just get your expectations correct whenever you hit that order button. See ya.